Mr. Deputy Speaker, I move that the Finance and Audit Amendment Bill be read a second time. In the past 10 years, we have seen an unprecedented abuse and misuse of government financial resources. As a result of the irresponsible fiscal stewardship we have today, a most precarious financial situation, to say the least, disastrous. The previous government has been running a high budget deficit, accumulating enormous debts on the shoulders of every citizen of this country, including newborn babies. No responsible government, Mr. Deputy Speaker, can allow such a state of affairs to continue. This is the very reason why we are introducing this bill in the House. And there is urgency. This is why, again, it comes in first, second, and third reading, because budget day is approaching very fast, and there are lots of work which need to be done for us to be able to apply what we want to do. With this bill, government will put greater emphasis on policy outcomes rather than how much is being spent. Judging government policies by the amount of money that is being spent is erroneous and misleading. We want to see the best outcome for every rupee and cent that we're going to spend. I'll give you an example, Mr. Deputy Speaker. Sir, I'm sure the Honourable Minister of Health won't mind my saying so. In the Ministry of Health, we are spending around 17 billion rupees on health alone, one item. But can we say we're getting top-notch public service, public health service? Far from it. What is the point of throwing money without getting results? This is what we're trying to do. This bill will facilitate, we're trying to correct, this bill will facilitate and have a more responsible approach to fiscal stewardship by providing for the reintroduction of performance-based budgeting and the appropriation of funds instead of by programs. The PBB, I nearly said POB, will be a simpler version that is focused primarily on achieving outcomes and improving service delivery. In other words, Mr. Deputy Speaker, it will be result-oriented. The previous government never understood, I think, the importance and the merits of performance-based budgeting. In 2015, they replaced PBB by line item budgeting, which is based on inputs, but not on outcomes. They changed the direction and they lost focus of the results and outcomes that we're expecting. Our public finances would not have been in such a disastrous situation as they continued with PBB. They've spent money on reckless projects like this White Elephant project, Kodo. Just throw money away. This is why we will also later on bring a Fiscal Responsibility Act. There would have been not so much contingent liabilities that we see now, piled up. Nothing short of criminal negligence from what I can see. Today with this bill, we are restoring the core strength of budgeting. Under the PPB, the budget of ministries and departments will be presented in terms of programs and sub-programs. This will help in improving budget formulation, the whole process, by focusing on the purposes and objectives for which the funds are required, which will lead to a more strategic and result-oriented approach. In this respect, Clause 3 of the bill defines a program as a set of activities or interventions contributing to the achievement of a common outcome. A sub-program is also defined as a distinct set of activities or interventions within a program. Mr. Deputy Speaker, the PBB will promote accountability by linking financial resources to specific outcomes, outputs, and performance indicators. It will therefore make it easier to track how funds are being used and whether they are achieving the intended results. It will also allow ministries and departments to review the processes, identify and eliminate wasteful practices, which will result in greater efficiency and effectiveness in the use of resources. And also, Mr. Deputy Speaker, it will bring more discipline. Throwing money without accountability is not going to help. We need to have accountability. This is why in clause 3 of the bill, it defines an outcome as the impact that the program intends to achieve, not only in the short term, but also in the medium term. And it is measured by an outcome indicator. It also defines an output as the services to be provided to achieve an outcome. This is measured by key performance indicators. The KPI is linked to the ministries. Therefore, the key element is accountability. If you do not achieve a targeted output, I'm afraid the ministry will have to be accountable. Here, clause 4 of the bill provides for ministries and departments to submit a progress report on the performance in respect to our outputs and outcomes relative to the targets that have been set. Mr. Deputy Speaker, I will now highlight the other main provisions of the bill. Section 105(2) of the Constitution stipulates that heads of expenditure should be included in an appropriation bill, which is voted in the National Assembly, in order to incur the expenditure from the consolidated fund. Currently, in the Finance and Audit Act, the head of expenditure is defined as a vote of expenditure. Thus, appropriation has been made by vote of expenditure. With the reintroduction of PBB, appropriation will be made by program instead of by vote on expenditure. Thus, clause 3 of the bill provides for the definition of a head of expenditure as program instead of vote of expenditure. Mr. Deputy Speaker, presently the Finance and Audit Act refers to estimates as annual estimates. Annual estimates are both revenue and expenditure. And it provides for the estimates to be approved by this August Assembly. It gives the impression that both estimates of expenditure and revenue are approved by the National Assembly, whereas in fact, according to budgeting principles, only the estimates of expenditure needs to be appropriated. Clause 3 of the bill clarifies this issue by providing for estimates of expenditure and estimates of revenue to be defined separately. Only the estimates of expenditure will then have to be approved by the National Assembly. Along the same vein, clause 5 of the bill is amending section 22 of the Finance and Audit Act to provide for the Minister of Finance to issue financial instructions for the preparation of estimates of revenue and estimates of expenditure, both separately. In addition, clause 6 is amending section 23A of the Finance and Audit Act to provide for the Minister of Finance to present estimates of revenue and estimates of expenditure, again separately, as it will be done as from fiscal year 2025-2026 onwards. Following the enactment of this bill, the standing orders and the rules of the National Assembly will have to be amended accordingly. In this regard, I will shortly present a motion in the House to trigger the process for amending the standing orders. The House may also note that the performance-based budgeting system will also be reintroduced in statutory bodies, local authorities, the Rodrigues Regional Assembly, as from fiscal year 2026-2027. We are, in fact, providing a transition period of 1 year for these bodies. In this context, all these will have to be amended again to align the budgeting framework with that of government. All these, the statutory bodies, the Local Government Act, the Rodrigues Regional Assembly Act, and so on. The amendments will be made in the Finance Miscellaneous Provisions Bill of 2025. Mr. Deputy Speaker, performance-based budgeting should go a long way to addressing this recurrent problem. The Ministry of Finance will work together with statutory bodies, the local authorities, and the Rodrigues Regional Assembly to facilitate this transition period of 1 year towards performance-based budgeting. To conclude, Mr. Deputy Speaker, I would like to reiterate that we're resolute in our endeavour to put our public finances back on a sound footing. And we want to focus again, as I said, on results rather than outcomes. The reintroduction of the PBB is one of our major policy reforms to usher in a new era of transparency and fiscal discipline. It is also a crucial step towards harmonizing budgeting with long-term socio-economic planning. It should also be, I should really point out also that despite the recurrent problems, we've seen it year in, year out, the Director of Audit every year points out all these wastages. But there's no resulting improvement, at least for the last 10 years, in wastage of public funds. This should address the problem of wastage of public funds significantly. I therefore expect the full collaboration and cooperation of my colleague ministers, but also of all public officers, to ensure the successful implementation of this major reform, which is going to be good for the country, for the finances of this country. With these words, Mr. Deputy Speaker, I commend the bill to the House.